Today we're driving the 2020 BMW 840i xDrive Gran Coupe. The MSRP on this is $87,800, with a few options that we have on this test car, including the driving assistance package, the driver's assistance pro package, M Sport, and the comfort seating package that brings the total price to $100,675. This 8 Series has BMW's fantastic 3-liter twin-turbo 6-cylinder with 335 horsepower and 368 pound-feet of torque. The 3-liter inline 6 is mated to an 8-speed ZF automatic transmission. The curb weight on this is around 4,300 pounds, which, considering its size, actually isn't too bad. This 4-door Gran Coupe adds quite a bit of length to the regular 8 Series, and practically, it's a much better option for those wanting to haul more people and stuff. This 840i is rated at 20 mpg city, 27 on the highway, and 23 miles to the gallon on the combined cycle. BMW offers a 4-year, 50,000-mile limited warranty and $0 maintenance for the first 3 years or 36,000 miles, whichever comes first. In my opinion, this is a really well-optioned car, a lot of tech, a lot of features. Let's get into it, and then we'll take this thing for a drive. There's quite a lot to cover in this 840i, and there's a ton of tech and a bunch of features. It can get a little bit overwhelming sometimes, but I think on this review, let's focus mostly on the driving experience. We'll do a little walk around here, cover some of the features initially, but really I want to take this thing for a drive and show you guys what this is like behind the wheel. So first of all, this interior feels phenomenal. BMW just keeps getting better and better with their higher end materials and their luxury interiors on some of their top models, and this is just right up there with the best of them. I love the design, the surfacing, the aluminum integration. There is a lot of shiny gloss black, and it seems to be aging relatively well too. There's some scratching going on here, but I will say I absolutely love these glass buttons, this glass shifter, the engine start stop knob, the volume knob. It's a really cool premium touch and feel to the cabin. We have a heated steering wheel, just about all the heated and cooled seat controls that you would want. This is kind of an interesting system in here where you get this digital display that shows you, your auto climate control, your temperature, stuff like that. And you can also get in and it'll show you, your heated seats. Those heated seats will automatically engage below a certain temperature, and the ventilated seats will engage above a certain temperature, and you can go into the menus and set that and customize those options. Speaking of that, the Idrive system, there's so much customizability in this car. It's a little bit much, but once you get everything set and ready to go, it should be good, and you're going to commit to it because it's so difficult to change on the fly. Even something like the heads-up display, turning that on or off, or changing the height or what data is shown is not something that you're really going to be able to do while driving. But I'm amazed at the level of customization here. I wish we're a little bit simpler to access, but for an owner, someone who lives with this vehicle every day, once you get it set, you can forget about it. We have a pretty interesting cruise control system here to the left. We have a speed limiter, much like what Jag has integrated into their cars, where you'll set the speed the max speed that you want to go, and when you press down the throttle, the car won't go beyond that, which is kind of nice to keep you from speeding. And then, of course, there's a lane keep assist and a radar guided cruise system in there as well. It works pretty well. There's also supposedly a sensor here that kind of checks on your attention, your driver attention, whether you're looking forward, and it'll kind of up or downgrade the level of steering assist and how long you can keep your hands off the wheel. For me, it hasn't really been working that much this week, but it's a pretty good system that works for most scenarios, and you can even integrate lane changes into that, auto lane change, stuff like that. So lots of sensors around the steering wheel to sense if you're actually holding the wheel or not. Let's turn some climate control on here so we don't fog up the windows. We have a panoramic sunroof, and in the back, a ton of adjustability you can make it really dark back there. Lots of privacy screens and shades. We'll head into the back seat and show you guys that soon. A couple of cup holders here. USB port, wireless charging. This particular 840i is not equipped with Apple CarPlay, so we're not going to be looking into that today, unfortunately. We do get this navigation screen, which this view is a little bit of a joke to me. The horizon is really only a block away, but really if you get one of these cars, you're going to buy the Apple CarPlay and have that enabled. Little storage compartment in here. You got some grippy rubber so things don't slide around. USB-C port and a traditional USB port right there. We have a few different drive modes: Sport, Comfort, and Adaptive, as well as Eco Pro, stuff like that. The drive modes will change the exhaust tone, so there are some exhaust flaps in there. This inline 6 sounds awesome. It's a great engine, and made it this 8-speed, it's a fantastic overall powertrain. Great seats, tons of adjustability. You can kind of increase, decrease the side bolster and how it squeezes your kidneys. And of course you've got your thigh support here, which collects lots of crumbs. Painted in this black, this thing just, I think it looks proper. It's a pretty good looking car. The proportions can look a little bit strange sometimes, I think, but overall I think this is a really good direction for BMW's design language. Decent amount of space back here. You'd think this would be a hatch with this Gran Coupe styling. I kind of wish it were. That would be pretty neat, but not the case. These massive 20-inch wheels do have winter tires on them today, which is very nice. We have the M Sport package, which gets bigger M brakes and these big wheels and some badging and stuff. BMW's laser headlights. We'll be sure to test this at night as well. And of course in the front, almost fell, you've got these grille flaps that open and close according to fuel efficiency and whether you need more cooling, all that good stuff. Very nice back seat. Let's hop inside, and once you're in here, there's plenty of room. Getting in and out is a little bit challenging with this slope in the roof, but overall it's not too bad. The best part back here is all of the controls. So of course you have auto climate control, heated seats, all that good stuff, but you can really have a lot of flexibility here with your shades, and you can just close everything at once and really have your privacy back here, except for here. People can peek through there, but otherwise it's pretty nice and cozy. Neat little cup holder system, space to put things there, and of course there's a little pass through to the trunk. Yes. And it's just 4 buttons you can press in really quick sequences and everything presents itself or closes itself. Great interior on this 840. And there is even a middle seat belt, though you'd have to straddle that center console to get in there. Pretty comfortable in the back, honestly. Decent amount of headroom and legroom. It's a sporty back seat where you're kind of tilted back and you really feel like you're ready to go for a spirited drive. Alright guys, let's take this thing for a drive. Let's put it into, let's start with adaptive mode, and we'll go for it here. Got some good back roads to drive on here. We are on winter tires today, so we're not going to be getting the full grippy experience. Very narrow tires. So we'll also be keeping an eye out for potholes, because there isn't a lot of forgiveness with these 20-inch wheels. In normal mode, this engine transmission just has the best character. It's always in the right gear. It's quick and responsive when you want to downshift. When you put it in a sport mode, it feels and sounds awesome. Get a little readout on the heads-up display telling you when to shift. And I think this inline 6 sounds pretty good too. Let's do a little launch control start here. Just because this is the inline 6 doesn't mean it's sluggish. This thing is quick, and it really, really pushes you into the back of the seat on launch. It's pretty brutal. Test the brakes here really quickly too. Brake pedal feels pretty decent. Of course, we're limited by grip today with the winter tires, and it's just driving on the snow. Sometimes I've noticed that these gauge displays can be a little bit dark in broad daylight. They will adjust automatically. Full sun, they brighten back up again. They're always kind of changing, like just now they brightened up a bit, but every now and then they can be a little bit difficult to read. This 840 just eats up speed and road like nobody's business. This would be a great Grand Touring car. One thing that I've always noticed in recent years with performance BMWs and the ZF8 speed is the graphics or the tachometer on the rev display always shifts a little bit quicker than the actual engine and transmission do, but it gives you the sensation that, hey, my transmission's shifting really quickly and it's being really more, way more responsive than maybe it actually is. Just an observation. A little bit of rotation on throttle there from the xDrive system. Let's put it into adaptive. Turn our climate control back on here too, because we're fogging up the windows. Lots of heavy breathing here in the 840i today. Let's use the speed limiter here, since we've been speeding a little bit already. So if I set this to 60 miles an hour, and I cruise down to 55, and I floor it, or at least mostly floor it, it's going to stop me at 60. I think that's great. That's such a nice feature. You can turn it on and off very easily with just a press of a button. And then down here, you have your cruise control settings. So you can kind of change between adaptive distance control and assisted driving, which will keep you centered in the lane, and it'll even show you on this display what vehicles are around you. It'll recognize a semi-truck, or it'll recognize a car in various lanes, and it kind of gives you this visualization, this digital visualization of traffic around the car. It doesn't do a very good job sensing vehicles stopped ahead of you at a stoplight, and I've noticed that it tends to wander around a little bit in the lane. So it's not the best system out there, but it does most of the time work quite well. And as long as you have your hand on the wheel, I've found it seems to stay engaged for quite a while. Luckily, with the way this interior is designed, that's easy. You've got a nice armrest right here. You just sit back, relax, and let your BMW do the work. Let's turn that off though for now. Take this thing around some corners. I have pretty good visibility in this, despite this being a Gran Coupe with kind of the raised rear haunches. The only place that I feel a little bit slim with visual visibility is in the rear view mirror. The rear end kind of slopes up, but I can still see vehicles behind me, and it's not too bad. Really nice driving position in this 840i. These seats are fantastic. There's almost infinite levels of adjustment for them. Really just a nice view from the driver's seat, great materials, amazing touch points, and once you have everything set up, everything in here is pretty easy to use. It falls to hand quite nicely, given how complex and tech heavy this car is. Let's throw it into Sport Plus again here. Traction off. Once you do put it into the Sport transmission mode in Sport Plus, you get super fast shifts. Awesome. The limits on this are so high. Amazing amount of grip. Feel the suspension stiffen up a little bit around corners. Put it back into adaptive mode, turn traction on. Let's see how this does on the highway. So this also does have auto lane change, which is pretty neat. So we'll just let it kind of do its business here. We're following a pretty slow truck up here. And let's see if it'll change lanes automatically. So seeing this RAV4 pass us. Look at that. It just did it. Cool. And it goes back to wandering in its lane a little bit. Let's see if it'll go back here. You can even adjust the sensitivity of the blind spot monitoring. You can adjust everything in this car. That's one thing I really like, is there's just so much adjustability and customization that you can really tailor this to your needs. The downside to that, you really can only do that when you're stopped, because there's some deep menus too that you have to get into. At speed, this is really quiet. Virtually no wind noise, a little bit of tire noise from these winners, but very, very, very nice to drive on the highway. I would say the suspension tuning is on the stiffer side in this 840. I would like a little bit softer ride quality and comfort, but that's the way things are. Everything's stiff these days, and I guess if you want just a little bit more performance out of your 840i, this will deliver it. This thing handles and drives so well. This Harman Kardon audio system is also fantastic. not doing an audio test today, but if you head over to Daily Motor Charlie's channel, he may have one that'll upload on this car. Using this cruise control does take some getting used to, but once you do, you kind of can tell where the buttons are and use everything without having to look down. BMW always does a really nice job with their high-end models, and I knew I was going to be impressed with this Gran Coupe, and I really am. I've really only spent a day in this car. I drove it around some this morning, picked it up from the airport yesterday. But initially, I love this thing. It's fantastic. I'm going to take it on a little bit more of an extended drive tomorrow, and we'll get some more video footage for you then. And I'd also like to do a night drive on this because this has some pretty cool ambient lighting, and just overall everything lights up really nicely. And I know people love that stuff. So we'll show you guys POV night drive on this as well. But for me, this kind of ticks all the boxes. You know, you've got the 850i2 with the V8. For me right now, this strikes a really, really nice balance. This is not Spartan for features. It's got great performance. This inline 6 is an absolute peach of an engine. Really nice package, really nice overall car. This feels like a $100,000 car easily, and people they love the way this thing looks. I was at the car wash earlier today, and this guy's like, "Oh, look, that's that new BMW. It's the 4-door coupe. That's got to be a $100,000 car." And he was right on the mark. It's $100,600. But you definitely get a little bit of attention in this thing, and it is a looker. Definitely turns some heads, breaks some necks on the road. Yeah, good stuff. So this kind of will wrap up my first impressions on this. We'll do some more content for you guys later this week, whether it's just straight up driving videos or a POV night drive and a wrap up. Really only have a few days in this 840, so we'll get what we can for you. And until then, we'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this one. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments. Oh yeah, it'll automatically lock for you if you walk away. Another setting that you can change. The only thing about this black, it looks awesome, but this time of year, with all the salt on the roads, I literally just washed it 20 minutes ago and it's already filthy. That's okay. It's being driven hard.